Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and I am on vacation, as you may have guessed. I'm in a very snowy part of the world that is obviously not California. You know, it's Easter, I gotta do things with the kids, and of course I like skiing. So, I can't make my usual video game videos, and I decided that I would try and plan ahead this time. I asked people on Twitter what they would like me to talk about in, science type videos. And somebody asked if there was any theories that I like that have since been debunked. So I decided to take my own tack on this and address science that I was taught at school, which has turned out to be completely rubbish. For example, I was taught that Mercury is tidally locked to the sun, and that is bogus. It actually rotates relative to the sun. But if you looked at the Mariner mission that flew past Mercury in the 60s, it flew past twice, and both times it flew past, exactly the same face was facing the sun. So that provided some compelling evidence for a tidally locked Mercury. However, really what happens is Mercury rotates 3 times for every 2 orbits. And the space probe came back after 2 orbits. So of course it saw the same face. So, there was some... it's understandable that my physics teacher would tell me this. Now, another example of something that was taught to me, which is perhaps understandable, was the Big Bang. Now, I was taught by in fact, this is what we were taught at university, that the expansion of the universe was governed by gravity, and eventually, if there was enough mass in the universe would slow down and potentially come back together. There was some speculation as to whether there was exactly enough mass in the universe, and that was open to many, many questions. But it turned out in 1997, I think, that a paper changed everything. They discovered, by studying supernova, that the universe wasn't in fact slowing down, it was accelerating. It was being pushed apart by something called dark energy. And that, of course, has been a huge change to physics. We're trying to figure out, what dark energy is, and dark matter, for that matter. So, that was very cool. So another thing that I was taught, much younger, I was in probably primary school, and there was a poster on the wall that talked about mining the ocean floor, and there was a photo of a ship that was doing this. It was called the Glomar Explorer. This ship was out in the Pacific trying to mine the ocean floor for manganese and other minerals. No, it wasn't. This was a cover story created by the CIA to hide the fact that the Glomar Explorer was in fact looking for the wreck of a Russian submarine. Turns out you can't build a huge ship and have it sitting around in the Pacific for months at a time without having a really good cover story. And this one was so good that science teachers believed it and put together posters of it and everything. Oh, that's amazing. Brontosaurus. Brontosaurus isn't a real dinosaur. It's actually the combined skeletons of an Apatosaurus and a Camarasaurus. Or I think it's Camarasaurus, yeah. I was taught that in 1946, the ENIAC from the University of Pennsylvania was the world's first electronic computer. That was, of course, rubbish, because there were secret computers in existence prior to that. For example, the Colossus, which I believe came online originally in 1943. It was, of course, a military secret, which is why nobody knew about it. Now, of course, ENIAC fans do like to point out, but the ENIAC was programmable. The Colossus you had to reprogram by, running wires around and things like that. But I counter that the original ENIAC in 1946 was only programmable by messing around with wires. It wasn't until 1948, September 1948, that the ENIAC was able to run a stored program. And by which point it was playing second fiddle to the Baby from Manchester, which came online in June 1948 and became the world's first stored programmable computer. Anyway, military secrets are cool. I was also taught that Galileo invented the telescope, and that's also bogus, because there's plenty of evidence that other people were using telescopes before that, but it was not shared widely because, hey, being able to see your enemies from a long way away is a pretty good military advantage, so it was considered a military secret. Galileo probably was the first person to ever point a telescope at the sky, however, so he does have that credit. Yeah, that's some pretty cool stories there. There's a whole bunch of things like that. Oh yes, diamonds. I was taught diamonds were the hardest substance in the universe. No, there's actually harder stuff. I think I can't remember the name of it, but I think it contains boron. I'll have to look.